League of Legends is a 3D real-time strategy MMO. There are two teams of 5 players who face each other. They both have NPCs known as minions who take all the damage. They're kind of like the shields. Both teams have generators, and the goal of the game is to destroy the other enemy's generator. As you kill the enemy minions, you gain experience, which helps you level up. You also gain money, which helps you buy items. It gives you a little bit of an advantage over the enemy. So you need to decide which items you want to buy to support your team or to help you beat the enemy. Both teams have 3 lanes which have turrets on them, and the players need to destroy the turrets before they can progress through that lane. One bad point about this game is that it's not very friendly to new players, and once you make a tiny mistake, you could lose the game, and all the other players in the game will blame you. Like they say it's your fault, even though it probably is, but it's your first game. They don't take that into consideration. So you kind of need to learn this game very fast if you want to win. The reason this game is a real-time strategy is because you need to decide which items you want to buy, when you want to use the abilities. You get certain cooldowns on the abilities, which means you can't use them for like 2 minutes or certain things like that. You also need to decide which lanes you want to progress down. There are 3 lanes for the whole team. Because there's 5 players, usually 1 person goes down the middle and 2 people go from the top one and the bottom one, so they can kind of defeat the enemy that way. Also, you need to make sure you stay behind your minions all the time, because as soon as you go in front of your minions, the enemy players are attacking you, not the minions. The turrets will attack you instead of the minions, and you will lose the game, you will die, and that's it. So the real-time strategy game that I did is League of Legends. Call of Duty World at War is a first-person shooter. It's part of the Call of Duty franchise. It's the 5th game in the chain, and it is personally one of my favourite. Basically, you are in World War II, and you have all the World War II weapons, such as the flamethrower, like the old flamethrowers just being created, the M1 Garand, the MP40, the Thompson, the really old guns that they used in World War II. And basically, the gameplay you're seeing now is the multiplayer, and the multiplayer is a very, very common. It's like really played. Most people play this kind of thing, and basically the aim of the game is to kill your enemy. So there's 2 teams of 6 people, or sometimes you can have 8, and basically you've got to get a certain score before the enemy, and the way to get score is to kill your enemy. So the more you play it, obviously the more you progress, you learn the layout of the maps. I think there's something like 12 maps and then 8 downloadable maps, and the map is the ground that you fight in. That is where you're fighting. So as you see now, I'm on like an oil rig, and that's the map. So the map is the oil rig, and you learn your way around that, and you kill the enemies, and you have like grenades and things to throw at the enemy. So the reason this is a first-person shooter is because it's as you can see, a first-person camera angle. You can see the hand and the gun. You can see the crosshair. You can see the ammo. You do not see the back of the person, your own player. You cannot do that. You cannot see the back of your own player. So that's why it's first-person shooter, or it's first-person. The reason it's a shooter is because you're shooting the enemy. This game is, like I said, World at War. You can pick it up for about £20 now from any game store. So yeah, that's World at War, and yeah, so hope you enjoyed.
The game I have chosen to do as my action game is Batman Arkham City for a whole host of different reasons. One of the reasons I did choose it is the camera that is over the shoulder in a third-person view is reminiscent of many other action games such as the Resident Evil series, primarily like the more recent ones such as 4 and 5. Another reason is the fact that the game, although it has the same button scheme throughout, does 2 different things as you play through. For example, in free roam, pressing A will allow you to run or glide off the building if you're on the edge. In combat, the A button on the Xbox 360 is used to dodge an opponent's incoming attack or gunfire if they are possessing a gun at the time. Because you are Batman, the game differs from other action games because of the fact that you are Batman. It allows you to travel through rooftops and glide from one place to the next using his cape for a short period of time. Because the game is also set within a cordoned-off part of Gotham City, it allows Batman to have an even greater variety of places to explore. For example, one place you start at near the beginning of the game is near a courthouse. If you fly for a short while, you find yourself in what was the former industrial sector of Gotham City. The main definition of action is combat, and this game definitely delivers with a unique combat system not seen in any game that allows for continuous free flow in sort of a martial arts style that Batman is proficient in. For example, the player can easily strike, evade and counter at will, and also perform special abilities to either disarm or incapacitate their opponents at the simple press of a few buttons. Because this is also Batman, gadgets are also used to integrate into the combat seamlessly, which use accessories as a way to help the player in any way, shape or form. While the combat might look quite hard and also requires a lot of button pressing, it is actually extremely simple with just one button press, allows for just one strike. Multiple presses of the X button will allow for multiple strikes to happen at a time. When an enemy is incoming, a little flash will appear above the enemy's head, allowing you to counter their moves. As combinations of attacks continue, the free flow allows for more seamless flowing combat. That means that the enemies will struggle to hit you, unless they can manage to isolate you for a few moments, and they will try to get a hit in. You can either evade their attack and not disrupt your free flowing combo, or counter to continue with your free flowing combo and build up towards special abilities, such as a swarm of bats that will cover a certain area that will temporarily stun multiple opponents, allowing you to continue with your free-flowing combo around enemies that aren't stunned and can pose a more dangerous threat, such as those with knives or fully body-armoured enemies. A takedown that will incapacitate. The reason why I've chosen to do Deus Ex Human Revolution as my stealth shooter game is mainly because while stealth is an optional way that the player can play this game, it's also an integral part when the game was being made. Because of this, it means the approach in the game will be different compared to those who decide to run in and kill every enemy in a room using a submachine gun. For example, you will want to stay out of the enemy's line of sight. That will either mean going from cover to cover, or looking in your environment to see if there's an alternate way around, such as a vent stuck. It also reacts differently with players who use stealth. For example, if you stay behind cover in a certain area where there's two guards nearby, you can eavesdrop in on their conversation to see if there's anything that can help you as you progress through this level. Combat and the upgrades in Deus Ex Human Revolution, such as the stun gun, can be used at close range to incapacitate an opponent so that they will not interfere in your path as they patrol. The augments in the game, such as the invisibility camouflage, allows you to progress for a short amount of time invisible, undetectable by the enemy.
This game is Rift. It's a role-playing game and it's only available on the PC. So to start the game off, you'll pick your faction. You can pick from the Guardians, which are the good guys, or the Defiants, which are the bad guys. So after the faction's chosen, you can pick your class. There's a Warrior, which is the tank, a Cleric, which is the healer, a Rogue, which is the stealth player, and a Mage, which is magic, enchantment, and things like that. Because this is an RPG, it's important to create a character to be the very best. To help you out with this, there are soul trees. These are different in each class. For example, a warrior will have champion, paladin, and riftblade, and a mage will have different souls such as a pyromancer, necromancer, and stormcaller. Considering how large the world is, the graphics are very crisp straight out of the box, without even changing any of the settings.
The game I have chosen to do for the fighting genre is Tekken Dark Resurrection on the PSP. The gameplay to this game is incredibly simple, where all the player has to do is defeat their opponent to an allotted amount of rounds predetermined by them. For example, 1 round wins, or multiple rounds such as a best of 3 to determine the winner of the overall match. Controls for the game are also incredibly simple. The left analog stick is used to move the player, while the face buttons of square, X, triangle, circle are used to perform a different array of moves, such as triangle will do a high punch, while X will do a low kick to the opponent. There are multiple ways for the player to advance in Tekken Dark Resurrection. For example, in the arcade mode, when you select the character, you are actually playing a story based upon a specific event within the story, with the aim to get to the last boss fight, which is the same across all characters, to unlock that character's specific ending. Another way which adds more playability to the game is choosing your best character and going into a mode where fight after fight increases your rank in a martial arts dojo, such as from beginner all the way to 7th dan. Another thing that Tekken offers the fighting game genre over other fighting games is the large level of customization that the game has. As with each fight you earn gold. This gold can then be spent to unlock alternate costumes for characters, or used to purchase accessories which then can be placed on characters, either to make them more intimidating or just for pure fun. The AI in Tekken Dark Resurrection is also quite intelligent. It provides a challenge to the player not only in difficulty level going up, but also is able to perform a large degree of special attacks that the player will take a long time to learn due to the unique key combination of that certain character to perform that certain attack. This in turn leads to a greater challenge for the player, as these special attacks are able to devastate the player's health gauge, meaning that they have to fight even harder to stay in the fight to win the round. With Tekken Dark Resurrection being on the PSP, it doesn't look as visually impressive as its console counterparts. However, it does run quite smoothly and well, with no frame rate issues at all on the PSP. Audio in the game also works quite well, with music preparing the player for each individual fight, and with music being played specifically in certain stages to reflect what the stages look like. For example, a nice soft car melody for a stage that is set in a nice beach or jungle, while something more destructive.
An adventure game is characterized as being entirely non-linear, allowing the player complete control as to where they go in the game world and in what order they complete tasks. An example of that is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the 3DS, which demonstrates these traits with non-linear gameplay both in dungeons, as seen here, and the world built around them. Gameplay with adventure games is often mixed with other genres of game, such as platform, as seen with the floating block Link has just jumped across to acquire the slingshot, and puzzle, where he uses his slingshot to knock a ladder down from the ceiling in order to leave the room. Another feature of adventure games is the key and underlining goal of the game character, usually a hero. In the Ocarina of Time, Link must help the Princess Zelda to rid the world of evil and defeat the Gerudo King Ganondorf, a classic example of the adventure game staple of hero versus bad guy. Adventure games are very often defined by what's known as a collectathon, a staple of adventure games since the original Legend of Zelda back in 1987. Various items must be collected in order to progress through the game, while others are designed purely for perfectionists who want to explore everything the game has to offer. In the Ocarina of Time, gold skulltulas, heart pieces, and glass bottles assure once again that this is an adventure game through and through. Platform games are the exact opposite of adventure games, with one set goal and a level littered with platforms specifically designed to reach the end of the level. In Super Mario 64, the gameplay is entirely linear, with one goal, reaching the end and collecting a Power Star. Each level has its own specific platforms designed to help Mario reach the Power Star, justification that although being in 3D, this game is entirely a platformer. One of the traits of platformers, both 2D and 3D, is the collectible items, such as coins or points. In this game you can collect gold coins and red coins, both designed to unlock secret stars, another staple of the platform game. Games since the late 80s have always included secret content that required the player to use elements of adventure games, namely the free exploration, to find and unlock everything the game never told the player was there. This game is no different, and secret stars and levels are everywhere amongst the worlds and the central hub of the game, Peach's Castle. One of the collectible items, a Power Star.
This game's Portal. It's a first-person puzzle platformer which was released in 2007, only available on the PC, and then later released on the PlayStation and Xbox with the bundle called the Orange Box. The aim of the game is to escape from different test chamber rooms using a portal gun which fire two different coloured portals, then you can enter them. It's completely different to any other puzzle game, as it's not only first person, but it uses real life physics. For example, if you fire a portal in the air, or on a ceiling, and then fire another one directly below it, you'll be in a continuous loop of free fall, and constantly increasing speed. Although this game sounds very simple, the test chambers get extremely hard as you get through the game, and the puzzles get much harder, and then you also get enemies such as turrets which will try and kill you, so you got to try and avoid them. This game is MAG, which is an MMO. This stands for Massive in Multiplayer Online. You may be more familiar with MMOs in their most common form as MMORPG, or the games of World of Warcraft and RuneScape. MAG is completely different to these games as it's a first person shooter, which makes it a MMO FPS. There are 3 different factions to choose from as you first start the game: Sphere, Valor and Raven. Each faction has its different perks, so different armour and different guns. Unlike other MMOs, it's not a free roaming game. It has set game modes such as Sabotage and Acquisition and Domination. Domination is the largest game mode. It has a maximum of 256 players
so 128 players on each team. The maps are split into 4 different corners with 64 players in each of these corners, and 8 squads, which are 8 players in each squad. You often find when playing MMOs that it lacks in the graphics department. This doesn't change with MAG, because it doesn't have fine detail or perfect graphics, as it has a large amount of players in a confined area who are constantly firing weapons and throwing grenades.
If there is a sport, the chances are that there has been a game designed around it. The genre is split off into team sports or a sport where you control an individual character. Either way, both types challenge the user to become the best, whether it's to climb the top of the Premier League or to win a WBO heavyweight title. The team sports would be games like FIFA Football. This game allows users to take control of different teams to simulate a football match against either a computer or a friend, either through an internet connection or offline with someone that sat next to them. These games have started to become more popular since online play became a feature. It becomes a social event when playing with a friend rather than just playing against the computer. A game like UFC is slightly different and features heavily on part of the game like FIFA, in the sense that creating a character and levelling their skills. A large attraction to games like this is how the user can create and develop a character exactly how they want them in their own style. The user can also use an internet connection to fight with their character online against their friends and their friends' characters. Sports games will always be a part of the gaming industry. As technology advances, the developers can keep adding different parts to the game each year to make the newest game the must-have. Simulation games have been a big part of the game industry, and some of the best known games are of the simulation genre. These games usually allow the player to create a character and develop them in their own way. What could be more fun than creating a character and taking their life to an extreme that you are not willing to go with your own? The Sims series has got to be one of the biggest names in video gaming, let alone the simulation game genre. The user can create a character, get a job, get married and live their life in their own perfect way. On the other hand, they could create a family, realise it's not going that great and just kill them off by boxing them in with drywall. At least they have the gravestones and then the ghost to frighten the next family to live in the household. It adds a bit of history to the place. There are lots of other sorts of simulation games that don't focus on the human life. These are games such as Flight Simulator and Farm Simulator. In games like Farm Simulator, the developers are trying to bring as many realistic situations into the game as possible, so it feels like the player is running a genuine farm. Some people are fanatical about Flight Simulator games. This is where they fly planes that encounter the same problems as a normal flight. The ideas behind simulation games is to give the player a different experience on a console or computer that is extremely accurate to the real thing. So a banker could run their own farm or vice versa. It gives the user an experience in their life that they otherwise wouldn't get.